Hi, everybody. We are going to talk about how to up your listing game this year, because I know if you're interested in real estate like I am, you want to get as many listings as you can in a very, very difficult market. And so I don't know how many homes you listed last year, but what if you could double that? What if you could triple that? What that does for you? You know, I've learned early on in my career, I started focusing on listings, and what listings do for you is they give you a reason for new buyers and new people to call you. So I think there's some tremendous things that you can do if you know how to list. So really, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is negotiating when it comes to at the listing presentation and all during your life in real estate. You're going to have to negotiate. And you know, I think it would be great if they made everybody that was getting into real estate have a degree in communications. I know you can get a communications degree, but not very many people that have gotten into our business do have that degree, although it would be very useful because this is really a people business. There used to be an old company around a long time ago that said, people are our business, our only business. And even though we sell homes, and we love that, people are our business, our only business. So the communication skills that we have are just incredible. And there's some really, really sharp things about communication skills that have changed really in the course of the time. I've been in real estate for over 30 years and a lot of things have changed. But just think about the subject of negotiation. Just aside from real estate, negotiation is just one of the most important things you do in life. You negotiate with your 9-year-old son, maybe to go to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And sometimes that's a difficult negotiation. You might negotiate where you want to go on vacation with your husband, or you might be trying to negotiate something with an ex-husband or an ex-wife, and that's even more difficult. So a negotiation is about parties talking, and there's always a I want. I want is the name of negotiation. That's what they're looking for. So I want you to think about the negotiation in real estate. And let's think about negotiation again before we get back in real estate. Think about how negotiations have changed over the years. And I read a fascinating book called Never Split the Difference that was written by a FBI top negotiator that went all over the world. And what he did is negotiate with hostage crises, hijacks, every kind of terrible situation you can imagine. And so the name of the book was very appropriate, because if you're trying to negotiate with somebody that's taken 4 hostages, you can't say, well, you keep 2, I'll take 2, and we'll just split the difference, because lives are at stake. And I've always said in real estate is sometimes it seems like lives are at stake because we're talking about people's money, and they're very fond of their money. So it puts them in a very mode of being acutely emotional about the whole transaction. Plus it's the family home. So most agents really never care enough about this business to up their game on negotiation. And that's what I want to try to accomplish today, because if you, like I, want to get more listings to work with this year so that we can help more families move, we're going to have to do better at negotiation, because in case you haven't noticed, there's a whole lot of options out there for a homeowner when they decide to sell their house. So I think about negotiation. When I started in real estate like 30 years ago, we had there was an agent. I hope those agents are not out there anymore. I could name names, but I don't want to do that. But if you ever felt like you were being bulldozed, have you ever felt like you were trying to negotiate with a pit bull? And so it's not very pleasant. And hopefully that has diminished over the years, but that is not a very productive form of negotiation. So I want to absolutely stop that. I'm going to have one more technical thing here because I'm having trouble getting this to go up to my next page. Oh, okay. I see. So I think with listings, what I teach my people to do is to communicate with somebody. Your goal in communication is to calm people down, to establish rapport with them, and to gain their trust. And that's the thing that you want to do every time you have a chance to talk with a seller or even talk with a buyer about buying a home or selling a home. So you have to persuade them to verbalize their needs when they are talking to you so that you can solve their problem. So there's a number one skill that's used in this negotiation. And it's when I tell you the skill, it's going to sound like, oh, that's too easy. But this skill is very hard to do. And it's called active listening. When you're listening to somebody, if you've ever raised a teenager, sometimes have you ever been talking to that teenager and then pretty soon you just realize they're kind of glazed over and you're just not sure they're listening to you at all, and they probably aren't. Maybe they got a headphone on, this, that, and the other. That's not active listening. Active listening is something that you have to learn to be a great listing agent and to be great at communications. You know, negotiations are used in those high pressure circumstances like hostage, but they're also used in big business acquisitions. They're also used in your business. When you're sitting down with a homeowner that's got a $150,000 double wide on an acre of land, or whether you're sitting down with a $5 million estate, the negotiation skills that you have are going to make the difference. They're going to matter in whether you get the listing or not. So I want you to know things. We're all just a little crazy. We're all crazy animals at heart that have our own interests. So you have to understand that. You have to understand that we're all human and that we go everywhere, do everything kind of in our own best interest, the way we want to do things. So we have like a mindset that is mostly, they say there's two mindsets. Really, the first one is just an animal mindset, and it's fast, and it's instinctive, and it's an emotional. And if you think about yourself when you first meet somebody, just in the first 5-10 seconds that you're forming some opinions, even though you don't want to have those things, you are forming some opinions. And then, of course, the second mind takes over, and that's the intellect. And the intellect is more slow, more deliberate, and more logical. And I just need to tell you that the first system that I talked about, that animal mind that's fast, instinctive, and emotional, is the prevalent mind. It's the one that takes over when people meet you. So you got to think about what they're going to think about me the first 5 seconds I walk to their door, because that first system is more prevalent. I'm still having trouble moving this, David. Excuse me, folks. But you got to frame your questions when you're talking to people. You absolutely need to frame your questions, that everything that you talk to them about is framed in their way of thinking. And to get really good with selling homes, you're going to have to learn how to do those things. It's called high-level form of negotiation. So, folks, the number one skill I've told you about is active listening. And that is really important, because what you think about when you're talking to somebody is not what you're getting ready to say. And that's what most agents do, honestly, is they're just waiting for a pause when that seller is talking to them so that they can jump in and tell them all that they're going to do for them. That is not active listening. You have to actually suspend what you're thinking when you walk into a house. You have to be in a mindset of discovery. You have to be in a place where you're open to really trying to understand where they are financially, emotionally, where they are and what they want. So guys, don't be so smart that you don't think you have anything to learn. And sometimes when we're in this business for a while, you know, we've been there, we've done that, we bought the t-shirt. By the way, I hate that. I haven't been most places I want to go. I haven't done all the things I want to do. And I certainly don't even like t-shirts. So think about that. But I want to tell you that I've had an approach for years that's been to listings. And listen, it's a two-prong approach. And the first one, I use my magic green sheet. I wish I'd brought one. If you text me after this, I'll send you one. But I've actually redone this lately because I've studied more and more about how people like to be approached and what approach with your principal, your seller, yields the best returns. And so it's critical to prepare for a listing. You never go into a meeting unless you know the agenda. So having that green sheet and having it prompt you with the questions to ask your seller is going to be really, really important. I've got my green sheet, by the way, somebody just brought me. I will send this to you. It is fascinating. I have one for my green sheet is actually for sellers. I have a yellow sheet for buyers. And those are things that you should ask every buyer that you talk to. And of course, my green sheets, what we use green. Why do we use green? Because green stands for money. And by the way, listings stand for money right now. So we use that two-step approach. And when that first conversation, we're using the green sheet, we're asking the seller questions, but we're giving the seller the time to fully state his position, wants, and needs. And so we learn on that green sheet in that first conversation how to discover things about him and his situation. Pretty simple discovery is, are you the only one that's going to make the decision to sell this house? And most of the time it's both you and your wife, or both you and your heirs. So when you give them the time to fully listen to them, is an amazing process. And so we teach our agents, when you're going to the house, to actually have a gift in hand. We use a small gift that we give them, and we thank them for inviting us to their home. And just the common courtesy can go so far in life. It's just an amazing thing. So I don't think people take the time to be as polite as they once were and as businesslike as they once were. So, ask them, thank you for inviting me to home. Here's something that Marty wanted me to give you. And you're giving them a gift. When you give somebody something, actually, it's an impulse, it's an animal instinct to reciprocate, give you something back. But I suggest that you don't take anything back. Usually it's, do you want a glass of water? Do you want something to drink? No. What I'd really like to do is put my computer down at the kitchen table and have you give me a tour of your house. And so you have them go through the house. And when you're going through the house, my key has always been silence is absolutely golden. And that doesn't mean you're a bump on the log. That means you're excited about their house. You've got a smile on your face. You're nodding your head up and down, but you say as little as possible. Have you ever heard the saying, the first person to speak loses? And what I want you to do is be animated. I want you to be very, very pleasant, very consoling, even when they tell you, this is the bonus room that me and a bunch of my friends finished on the weekend with a case of beer, and it looks like it. And it looks like it. I want your eyes to get big and a smile to come on your face, and then put down in your notes to check if that place has been had an inspection, because it might not have, but we want to get the business before we start giving them the third degree. Okay. So we're there to get the contract signed. So after silence is golden, we're going to ask them some open-ended questions. And the one thing I've always, the one question I always love to ask buyers is, tell me about yourself. But when you're talking to a seller, if you're talking to a real D-type, A personality, the get to the point one, is tell me about your home and what you want to accomplish with the sale. And of course, those other, where are you moving to, what time scale, all those things are going to come into the scenario. But your best position is to ask them open-ended questions and to get them talking about themselves. And if you really learn the art of listening, and that means you don't have anything else on your mind, you don't have an agenda about what you're going to say, because you're honed into what they're trying to accomplish and their goals. So that's what, if you do your job of suspending what you're thinking in your mind, the fight you had with your so-and-so before you left your house, the phone call that was a tragedy on a closing house right before you, never pick up the phone right before you go into a listing, by the way. Never do that. You got to get your mindset, everything right before you walk in the door. So I would ask the sellers if there's anything that they're worried about concerning the sale of their home. Is there anything you're apprehensive about? Is there anything that concerns you or that gives you pause about selling this home? And then I would listen again. And there's a process. When you listen, you take time to summarize what they've told you. And there's also another trick that you can use when somebody tells you something. You use the last 3 words that they say to you. And they might say, I'm selling this house so I can be closer to my mother. And you might say, closer to your mother. Oh, I understand. Just repeat the last three words is a very, it's a good tool for you. But the listening, the active listening is going to be really, really important. And then ask them which one they want to talk about first, the marketing or the pricing, and then go from there. And then after you get through what you're going to say about marketing and pricing, which I can talk to you about later, I want you to summarize what they want in your sales pitch. And I want your sales pitch to be very small and very short and concise. And actually, I'll have some more in-depth training of exactly what we do during that process. But if you've listened well, if you've really done your job, if you've paused, counting 1, 2, 3, 4 before you start to speak again, you might hear the magic words, and the magic words from any client is, that's right. You got it right. If you hear, it's okay. Yeah, that's what I want. But that's right. You've hit it. You've got them. You've got them really at a level that they're very, very pleased with. So listening is your skill. It's a skill that is almost like magic if you do it correctly. And most people will stop short of active listening. Active listening is where you really get into the other person's head and you feel where they are, and you try to figure out their emotional needs. So there's some other skills that you can incorporate into your negotiation skills to raise it up a level. You know, professional negotiators have 3 different voices. Your voice inflection, you know, lots of times I've got a listing over the phone where I've been talking to maybe multiple heirs and they were in different states, this, that, and the other. I want you to think about your voice and your inflection because it's very, very important. And there's 3 voices that a professional negotiator would use. One of them is, and I don't know that I can do this one justice, this ought to be almost hilarious, but one of them is the late night DJ voice, where you're smooth, you're soft, you're a good-natured person, but you're calm, you're relaxed. There's a smile in your face. This is Delilah saving you the good night. Oh my, I know I'd break that one up. That'd be so crazy. But the late night DJ voice is soothing. It's relaxing, but it's also calming. The second voice that you could use, the inflection, is actually positive, playful. And that's easygoing, good-natured person, smile in your voice, relax and smile and all of that. But it's more positive. It's a little bit more upbeat than the late night DJ. And I think this voice is what I probably use the most in real estate. At least I hope it is, because it should be a positive experience most of the time when you're selling a home and getting somebody on to the next level of their life. So there is a third voice that is used in negotiation. And my skill, my recommendation is to not use it very often because it's the direct, assertive voice. It will be this way, and that's the end of the story. And usually that's the end of the negotiation as well. So it's not very productive to have a pit bull versus another pit bull. So don't do it. It all can step back from the situation and stop yourself when you feel yourself going that way. So don't get angry when you're played, because I promise you, you'll be played in this business. You'll think things are one way, and then you'll get out to a situation when you're in front of them. And then they'll say, well, I'd love to do, this, but I've got to ask my mother, or I got to ask my father. That's the reason when you're using the green sheet, folks, you're going to ask them how many people are going to be involved in the decision of who you decide to choose to sell your home. So you never get rattled. I want you to be street smart. Be good at what you do. Raise your level of competency of negotiation and communication skills with your people. So being right is not the key to this business. And there's too many agents that it has to be their way or the highway. The key to this business is having the right mindset, not being right all the time. So you can actually disagree without being disagreeable. You can do it with a smile on your face and no harshness inside of you. And you can disagree with people without confrontation. So you can actually confront people and get your way if you do it in the right manner. So raising your negotiating skills is crucial if this is your long-term business, folks. Negotiation is not a battle of arguments. Where you're listening to somebody and you're just waiting to get your way so you can tell them, oh, that's not the right way to think. Oh, my goodness, this is not the right market to do that with. You must get into their mindset and make your whole focus on what the other person has to say. And that's, I promise you, that will put you at a level where you're really, really at a different level than most of the people that are doing this business. So there's so much to this business, folks. There's so much that is boundless. It is a tremendous profession. It's a tremendous career. It's an awesome, awesome business that you can raise your skills and the skills of the agents that work with you. So I'll give you a couple more points to talk about when you're in a difficult situation, like you're walking in and somebody's asking you to sell the house for a half a percent commission or something outrageous. You can just look at them and you can say, I'm sorry. I'd really love to do that, but at a 0.5% commission, I don't know how I'm supposed to do that and get you all the buyers that are supposed to see your home. I don't know how I'm supposed to do all the marketing that's necessary to bring all the buyers to the table so that I can get you the highest price. But just keep your heart in a very, very neutral place so that you can take any ball that comes to you and turn it around to your favor. So by verbalizing how they feel is how you'll be able to do that. And one of the two phrases that I would give you to do that is to say, it sounds like a real estate agent has done you wrong in the past. It seems like, it sounds like, it seems like, it looks like is better than say, what are you thinking about? Or that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You have to be, and then if they say no, no, it wasn't that, then you could say, oh, okay, well, I just said it seemed like that. So tell me, what is it? So verbalizing how they feel is a strong way that you can get them on your side and you can get the momentum going to do what you want them to do. So there's a lot to this business, folks. I'd love to talk to you. Actually, I've got so much more on negotiation. I may do one more short little Zoom on it because I think it's so important. I think agents just go through the same things and, we hear those scripts and those scripts are dead. I'm telling you, a lot of them need to breathe life in them because they're just dead. We say the same things. We do the same things and we're just not thinking. We're not 100% there like we should be. So there's a lot to this business. I just got back from a trip from Iowa. There's a tremendous opportunity there. With an organization that is just a class above anything that I've seen for a long time, that'll be bringing lots of energy and lots of training to our company. So I've got some questions for you. Are you a person that is drawn to the future? Or are you somebody that's just going through the motions day by day, putting one foot in front of the others and not really thinking about 2 years down the road, 1 year down the road, 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road? Are you drawn to the future? And you are creating that future right now, one day at a time. But do you have the emotional juice that it takes to be in this business when you've got doubts, when it's just not going quite the way you wanted it to go? Have you got the emotional drive to get you through those times and to put you back on track to those 3-year goals, those 5-year goals? Once you're over the immediate drama of how am I going to live on 100% commission, which I think almost everybody in this business goes through. If you're a sole provider like I was, that's a drama. I don't get a commission until I sell something. But once you're over that, you have to then take this business to a higher level every single year because that's the way you're designed. You're designed to progress, and you're not happy. I can tell you that. I've been around this business too long. Unless you're learning, unless you're growing, unless you're getting better at your skills, and unless you're helping others and pouring back into them. And so I want you to have the faith to believe that this game of real estate can do anything for you that you decide that you want to attain. I think most people stop very short of what they could do in this industry. So if you have the faith to believe that there's a big future out there for you, I'd love to have a chance to talk to you. I'd love to have a chance to partner with you if that's the right move. If you're brand new to real estate, we don't take very many brand new people to real estate, but if you are brand new, we'll at least talk to you. We've taken a few, so you might be one of those few. If you're a team that's already doing a really good business, we feel like that we can partner with you and add to your game. We'd love to have that opportunity. We'd love to hear from you. I hope you've gotten a little bit from this. Is there any questions, David? If not,
no, there haven't been any questions in the chat.
Okay, no questions. I will head on out and see you next time. I might do another one on negotiation because there's some points I didn't bring up. But whatever you do, remember it's a negotiation. Have a great day.